We are heading to Entebbe International Airport. Like I said, the process seems to be easier for any Ugandan. But most of us don't know. If today someone just walked up to anyone and they say, you know what, Musiso genda ancha, nkutwala Lebanon na ticket show, and people are not sure what is the process like. So we are here to see how the process goes. And this is how it is. You can see we have security being manned everywhere. Cars are being checked, and that's why we're very slow here. We have the anti-terrorism unit. It's actually in check. You can see the military camouflage. It's equally on check. They're checking everyone. This is the reality of it. They know that, yes, it's media, but they need to be sure what it's all about. This is what we're doing today. Yes, Afande, good morning. Tetulina tabu. Tuli mukola bukozi. Tetulina tabu Afande.
Omusajja huyo kamera giwadde.
Nedda ali kunze.
Okay.
Tuyanza Afande.
Kale mirimu mulungi.
Kale msebo. Security is tight at the airport here, and when you reach here, there are two stopovers. One is for the cars, where before you actually get into, there is a toll area where you have to get a ticket. Now this ticket helps you to park your car. Like how long you're going to be here determines how much you're going to pay. This is the public parking space. Anyone can park here regardless of the time and wherever you're coming from.
I'm called Lamaro Dina, a canine handler, Uganda Wildlife Authority.
So, Madam Dina, what do you do at the airport exactly?
Yes, our work is most likely checking passengers' luggage. We do it both at the departures and down at the cargo.
Okay.
Our work is mainly to traffic, looking for wildlife products.
Wildlife products.
Yes, that's what our dogs are trained to do.
Okay.
And that is the work we are doing.
So
when passengers come like this, we line them up, we begin checking their bags. When we go to the cargo side, that is the same thing we do.
What becomes of someone who has been arrested if he or she is found with something that belongs to the wildlife?
What we normally do is we sensitize them. We explain to them the importance of wildlife. They have to know. Then after that, we'll tell them it is illegal to do such a thing in Uganda. Then after that, we proceed with them. We take them to police station. They record statements, and of course, they have to go for court. That's
so
what
that means they miss their flights.
They miss their flights. That's what we are doing.
Thank you so much.
And the government is aware of what we are doing.
Oh, yes.
I'm Singh Karmax.
And what is this?
And this is an external employment help desk that has been created at Entebbe International Airport to streamline labor migration processes. As you are aware, labor migration has increasingly become an important facet of the employment regime in Uganda. However, there are some challenges that are incidental to it. Part of these challenges is actually the issue of trafficking. And as you very well know, there has been a lot of media outcry regarding quite a number of people that have been trafficked.
So what does the desk really do? If someone is going abroad for work, what does this desk do?
The desk, first of all, was established under Regulation 54 of the regulations that govern labor export. So one passes here, and then we ascertain as to whether that person has been screened by the relevant government organs and cleared by the ministry. Once that person has been screened and cleared by the ministry, then we allow that person to continue to immigrations.
please to refer us to the general manager for aviation.
So, Mr. Jacob, explain to us what happens here.
What happens here is that everybody who has been cleared by the labor desk through the airline comes here. As you may have realized, there are over 24 counters on the other side for airlines, different airlines. So those are all stakeholders, including UN, Kenya Airways, KQ, and others. So what happens is that someone now proceeds here to present the passport and other documents. So if something has not been cleared the other side, then a person will certainly be stopped here.
So the agents in the booth is here, they have the power to stop someone from going?
The officers have the power to stop someone from going, but they inform the airline that this person is not traveling. But if the papers are smooth, then the person proceeds. They clear the person, and in clearing the person, they scan the passport, and they scan the fingerprints of the person, and the person proceeds. So as you can see, we are trying to renovate this place, and there are some cameras. So the reason there are cameras is to make sure that we reduce any possibilities of compromise.
Among the many measures that we put in place, we have put this notice for passengers to know that in case they experience or any person that they interface with while going through the airport asks for any favor in exchange for a service, they should report to those numbers. And we have put numbers at a very high level. We have put a number of the general manager of the airport, a number of the aviation security manager, and the number of the manager operations, CAA. And this has helped. We have received a lot of feedback where someone experiences a challenge and they call and they actually helped. So we appeal to the traveling public that when you experience any problem when you're going through Entebbe International Airport, please do not wait to report later on social media, but report while at the airport so that we can assist you. Yes, we have 24-hour operations at Entebbe International Airport. These numbers are for the supervisors, but once called, they still pass on the information to the relevant people who are on the ground. So it has been working. And these numbers are complemented by duty officer numbers, which are also displayed in various areas of the terminal building as you go through, which are 24 hours.
And I've seen you've installed a lot of cameras. What is going on? Is it the expansion affecting, or is it an impact of the expansion?
Now, the security cameras are part of the security arrangement for the airport. We have always had cameras at the airport since time immemorial. But depending on the need, we keep increasing on these cameras in the different locations. And even these very claims of extortion, the cameras have actually helped us to verify. When someone raises a complaint, we actually go back and play. And that is why we require that when you have a complaint, you provide us with the specific details. We have done a lot of investigations based on the details that we get from the footage of the cameras, from the interviews with the different stakeholders that operate at Entebbe Airport. And those investigations have helped us where certain staff of different institutions at the airport have been found culpable. Actually, action has been taken, and very severe action, including withdrawal of security passes like this one. If we withdraw it from a staff of any agency operating at the airport, it means that that agency cannot deploy that person at the airport anymore. And that has helped us reduce the vice. But it is also worth mentioning that many of the investigations we have done have actually established that some of these claims have not been true.
Well, there you have it. Mr. Luigi explains it. We don't know what number to call, who to call. Are these numbers operational 24? Because the airport works 24/7. He's making it much more elegant. There are more check-in points we have actually gone through, like you've seen. But not only that, we are still going through a lot. And Jacob said that the checkpoints where we saw the immigration officers, they want to expand them to how many, Mr. Jacob?
We are going to expand them from Fort 14 to ensure that we facilitate travelers as fast as possible. And as you'll see where we are going, we expanded, already we expanded the counters from 14 to 22. And the intention is to make sure we facilitate travelers as smoothly as possible.
Well, there you have it. You saw how we went through the entire system, the check-ins and back and forth. There was a lot of check-in. The immigration officers, they look nice, they look polite, but they're much more vigilant. The way the questioning, the biometric system, they look to be much more serious. Sai wabadde wava obuzibu kati eri tuvuddeyo wano we tusemba n'okuyita olyoka ogende gy'olinyira ennyonnywa ne wabeera nawo obuzibu. But just so you know, the shops that you see in here, when you're buying something, ne bakuseera, it is not about Civil Aviation Authority, it's not about the immigration, it's not about enhance. These are, it is business, like you could come to a building and you get space, nokola business yo. So wano Civil Aviation mwami lujja babadde bagambira n'entebe museera ebintu ku kisaawa awo. Kati wanene kiba kiganye. But we're still going through the system, and we see from here, now that we have gone through the entire security checks, what is the next step before we actually board? All right, this is what happens. If you have a flight and you have a game to watch, like some of you who love a lot of sports, Salvador and the people like that, Gareth Onyango, you can, if you check in time, you can sit here and you watch your game. But one key thing is you can't miss your flight because you're watching Arsenal being, walloped, or Man U, or any other team, maybe Chelsea. There is a screen here that keeps reminding you about your flight and the announcements that are being made again and again. Mr. Lugia, can you expound on this?
Yes, indeed. This area is what we call the transit concourse.
Okay.
The passenger has cleared immigration and gets here. There are chairs where you can sit and wait for the time of boarding of your flight. But besides that rest area, we have a restaurant here, Korean cafeteria, where you can sit and buy something to eat. You can have a drink. And these are private restaurants operated by different concessionaires.
So that means CAA cannot determine how much they are selling the pastries and stuff?
These are our tenants, and they are providing business like any other provider of business within the airport. So they have their prices, which are independent of our operations, but they provide good services to passengers. You can see they have giant screens and various other forms of entertainment as a passenger relaxes and waits.
Prices are good.
But you talked about that screen,
yes,
also,
screen here,
which is very useful. It's called the Flight Information Display System, which we use to show the status of the different flights. As you wait for your flight, you are able to look at the screen and know whether the flight has started boarding, whether they are still checking in, or whether you are actually on time, and whether the gate is open, because that status is also indicated.
I need to know those words. What does check-in mean? What does on time mean? What does now boarding mean?
Checking in is the process that you go through when you have just entered the airport, where you present your passport and ticket to a check-in agent, and they give you a boarding pass. Okay. There you are checking in, and you are given a boarding pass. You hand over your luggage, which is to be checked in, and you remain with your hand luggage. So that is what you do before you get to this point. Now, when it shows now boarding, means that check-in has actually ended, it has closed. So passengers who are in this area are now supposed to proceed to the different boarding gates. Okay. Whether gate 3 or gate 4, so different airlines are allocated different boarding gates. So you proceed, and then you are able to actually board the flight.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's the other status which says on time, which shows that the flight is on the scheduled time on which it was scheduled. There is no delay or otherwise.
Okay, well, there you have it. When you come after the check-in, you can come and you lounge here and you wait for your flights to actually go through. I can see a couple of people are still waiting for their flights, and while you're waiting, you can hear through the speakers they are talking to passengers, the ones who are about to board, the ones checking in, and the ones who are late. And the restaurant here, like Mr. Lu just said, that It is affordable for us abantu bawanse and Ugandans as compared to the other airports, but it's more convenient for you. You can sit, relax as you're waiting for your flight. Key thing is you can't miss your flight because they're called the travel display screens. You can see what's on time, what's boarding, what's checking in. It's still an experience at Entebbe Airport. Okay, let's talk about a complaint. I've reported and I have empirical evidence that a particular agent did this or extorted money or tried to open my luggage to take my property. And I have evidence, maybe it's recorded, maybe I took a picture of this agent. What's the first action that happens if I give all this empirical evidence and I call the authorities, the general manager or whoever, and they come in real time? What's the next step that happens?
I know that Civil Aviation Authority is very serious on complaints, and where there is prima facie evidence and someone is found culpable, drastic action is taken.
Like?
Well, they sit regularly, and therefore they address complaints regularly. And if someone has been found culpable, they have this thing which they give to people who operate within the airport. Mr. Luja is one of the people holding it. And if you are found culpable, you are not allowed to the airport. Apart, besides other actions, you may be prosecuted, but once you have been found culpable of graft in the airport or any indiscipline, then they withdraw the pass and they blacklist you. You never work anywhere in an airport establishment, not only in Uganda, because if you can't work in Uganda, you can't work anywhere in the world.
I see there's some items down that are already off. I see some busy go. What happens? Why are these items down there?
So this area where we are is the last boarding gate. So once a passenger gets here, the passenger is ready to board the flight. So that means while you are here, all you have is hand luggage. The other checked-in baggage has already been checked in at the check-in counter. And there are some items which we only permit to be carried in checked-in baggage, which we do not allow you to hold in hand luggage. And such items include liquids and gels above 100 milliliters. And this is an international practice. It does not apply to only Entebbe. It is a practice set by the International Civil Aviation Organization for airports across the world, and it's a security measure. So once you have those, and if you notice as we came in, we have put several notices advising passengers of the things that are prohibited to be carried in hand luggage.
It's an inclusive.
Yes, there are many countries across the world that do not permit you to carry incendiary to their. So if you carry such things, they will definitely be removed at this point. And some passengers, because of lack of adequate information, have ended up complaining, raising complaints over that they removed this from me, but not only liquids, but even some sharp items like knives or blah blah of the kind, which are a security threat, are actually removed at this point if you still have them.
Mr. Jacob, eri bankebedde yonna mumpisizza mu byuma munzigyemu emisipi nzigyemu engatto eno kawunta tiroze si yakudiibuudde eno tugyetaaga.
Kawunta eno si yakudiibuuda nga bwe bakubuulidde ekebera buli kimu ne bakakasa nti otambulira mu mateeka. Oyinza okuba nga watuyiseeko eri nga tetutegedde bulungi.
Abaano bakambwe
abawano balina ne liability gye balina nti singa bakulinyisa ennyonyi n'ogenda gy'olaga ne bakukomyawo babafayininga ndowooza $3,000. So balina okukakasa nti passport yo gy'olaga boarding pass buli kimu kiri in order nti oba naakutwala gy'ogenda ojja kutuuka bulungi.
All right, Mr. Kanuma, you happen to be the operations at the airport from the immigration office. You've seen what is online. You've had a lot of complaints online. People saying there is extortion. Baba Bakevi into where you're the guy in the direct fire there. What do you have to say about that?
Most of these allegations are not true. The fact is, people lack the relevant knowledge. You have been taken a tour around this place. One, there's no many stakeholders in this place. People have a thinking that it is only immigration that is in charge of the airport. There are so many stakeholders. When I look at some of the reviews on the WhatsApp platforms, people even talk about Batujake Nsenene, Mukene. What has immigration got to do with Nsenene and Mukene?
Yes.
When somebody says that he comes to a counter, throws $500 over the counter, and a cleaner comes and picks up that money later on. I want you to film those counters and look at their very structure. It's not possible to throw money over that counter and it goes down on the floor. Besides, there are so many surveillance equipment around here that it would be utterly foolish for any officer to engage in such an act.
So what do you think the public needs to know about this, and what's the way forward?
I think the public is being duped by people who are trafficking them. We are aware there are people who are involved in human trafficking, but because they are being frustrated at the airport, they have made it a habit now to campaign and blackmail us. And that is why you will find today all human trafficking now is being directed across land borders, not through Entebbe. It's becoming very, very difficult. It's because we are tight.
Okay.
And in response, the traffickers have decided to punch below the belt.
What is this now?
This is the health check. There is a yellow fever belt, right?
Yes.
Controlling the outbreak of yellow fever. And people are advised, passengers, before they come in, they have to be checked to see whether they have got the proper vaccination for yellow fever. So they queue here. Now, this is the immigration hall. This is where we come in. CAA, together with China Construction Company, right, Najing, have managed to expand and reconfigure the counters to cater for the increasing traffic. One of the challenges we had is that the physical infrastructure we had could not be able to handle the increasing traffic of passengers. You're fully aware passenger traffic is increasing at a rate of 10% per annum.
Yeah.
The number of flights are increasing. The infrastructure we had been in place for the last 10 years. Now with increased traffic, passenger traffic, there was bound to be pressure right here. Now we have addressed that together with CAA and reconfigured the counters to have 20 workstations to handle passengers. We have given Ugandans a priority because they are nationals, for nationals who have traveled with the IDs. Because in that protocol that was signed, East Africans can move across all the frontiers using national IDs. But most people assume that you just present your ID and you go, no. When you present your ID, immigration issues you with an interstate pass, which you should come with over here. It is stamped and you're let into the country. When you are going, you come back with that interstate pass, right? Which is retained here and you proceed to go home. So when somebody is coming in here into the country, it is our responsibility as gatekeepers of Uganda to ensure that whoever is coming in is a person who is not going to cause any problems to the country, is a person who is not going to end up being a destitute, is a person who is responsible enough, knows where he's going, has sufficient funds on him. These are all clearly spelled out in the Immigration Act. So when we ask questions, people tend to think we are looking for so many other things. How much money do you have on you? We don't want your money. We don't want your money. We are only interested if you walked into here and you said you are going to stay in Uganda for 1 month and you're going to stay in Sheraton. Fine. You have $500 only. Wouldn't that raise eyebrows?
Of course it
And
does.
probably you don't even have a credit card on you. Doesn't that raise eyebrows? We probe further and say, how are you going to stay in Sheraton for 1 month when you only have $500 on you? I will talk to you to establish whether you're a sane person.
Okay.
We don't allow insane people into the country, and we have had them here.
So what becomes of someone if they reach and they are destitute in that way, they don't have enough money on them to actually sustain themselves in the country? What becomes of them? Do you deport them back, or what is the process?
We have a facility which I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's walk there. This is it. These ones were here. We've seen Muhammad Ali Bashir. Batil, we have Ahmed. These were from Somalia. They were here on the 13th of January 2018. While they're being held at Entebbe, as investigations are being carried out to justify where they're going, where they came from, they have where they stay, like you saw, and they have their own, restrooms that are very. This is the female wing, and. So while they're still here, what is running? You're running the process through other agencies to make sure?
Yes, other agencies are doing their work. We're also liaising with the airlines to ensure that they are returned. We're trying to get their tickets. Some of them...
Do they get food while they're still in this
Yes,
facility?
they do. They do.
Taxpayers' money
you know, if we find actually you don't have any money on you, then we are obliged to feed you.
And in case someone gets sick?
But if we have a clinic just now.
So, Mr. Luja, I know it has been a long day for you, but no problem. Let's talk about the belt. We have had cases of people's bags, being opened at the belt and materials missing when the bags reach here. What is your comment about that?
The cases of pilferage have drastically reduced at Entebbe International Airport. There are actually very few, if any, happening at all, because we have a comprehensive network that checks. Behind there, when the bags are being offloaded from the aircraft, before they are loaded onto the baggage conveyor belts, they go through a screening process. But the people handling them, the area in which they are, those are the handling companies. There are security cameras in those areas. So anyone who attempts to open a bag, they know that they are being monitored on CCTV.
Okay.
And whenever those cases are reported, we investigate thoroughly, and action is taken where there is a mishap. So those cases are no more at Entebbe. But after the bag has arrived on the conveyor belts, which you see, the passenger picks it and they proceed to the customs area. There may be those cases where a passenger waits for a bag and it is not here. And it could be for various reasons. The bag may have remained at one of the destinations or somewhere in transit, and we have an office for the handling companies where right behind you can see some of these bags that have been brought back. The passenger logged a complaint that I traveled, I reached Entebbe, and I did not get my bag. So you file a report with one of the handling companies handling you, and they take your details. So they follow up with the airline through the entire network where you came from. And once the bag is located, and many times they are, all the time, the bag is brought back. And these are some of those bags. So it is brought back, the passenger is called, and they come back and pick those bags.
We have gone through the airport. You've seen what happens. It has been quite a rough time. A lot of security checks. We have seen that we even have the holding areas in case you come and your documents don't tally. I just so you know that if you're making an arrival and you have something to do with any disease, it's the Minister of Health first checkpoint that actually drags shortly after the security guys. Then you can get into the immigration. But they say it will take you only 2 minutes if you get to the counter, as long as you're arriving 2 minutes at the counter. That's all they need because they already have your data if you're national. But then if you're not a Ugandan, it will take them a lot of time to screen your profiling and all that. It will take you a little bit of time, but it all comes with the changing times of aviation and travel. So you and I know that there are lots of things. Now, the ones who have been saying that you need to be more keen. I've been to these booths. I've seen they seat more than 1 or 2 officers. So when we say that people are asking for money, let's just make it simple. Take a picture of that officer, record a video of that person. The numbers have been displayed. Call the persons in charge and don't be doomed, don't be ripped off while you're at Entebbe International Airport. So that has been quite a big Great travel today we've seen the arrival and the departure and the processes we go through, but the beauty about it is Ugandans here working tirelessly to make sure that we don't have insane people getting into the country. The ones who are destitute, they don't get into the country, and above all, you and I enjoy a safe entry and exit into the country.